Very good morning, everyone. Jai Bhim, myself, Dr. Ajay, and we have our expert, Dr. Vivek, and we have Dr. Nikki, and as a participant. Today we are here it is the second session to discuss a very important book, Annihilation of Caste by Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar. And before going to discuss the caste, this book, let me read through the disclaimer that this presentation has been prepared for the SARA Book Club Session 2 as part of an internal academic discussion on annihilation of caste by Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. And caste is a sensitive and deeply personal subject. So all views expressed during this session are those of individual participants and don't represent the official position of SARA or any of its affiliated persons or programs. SARA bears no responsibility for opinions shared in the course of the discussion. All participants are requested to engage with kindness, respect, and restraint. Language that is provocative, discriminatory, or hurtful toward any community, caste, or individual has no place in this space and that will not be encouraged. The primary purpose of this session is academic and pedagogical to identify the key arguments, ideas, and lessons from Dr. Ambedkar's work that can be meaningfully and sensitively introduced to students in the SARA Bridge Course Level 1. And we enter this discussion in the spirit of learning and not of debate or confrontation. So I thank you for attending, and with this, let's move forward. And today is the second part of this very important book, Annihilation of Caste. And I would like to request Dr. Vivek to say hello and just give a brief introduction.
Good morning, everyone, and Jai Bhim. My name is Vivek Kumar. I have a PhD from Center for Political Studies at JNU. And like Dr. Ajay said, we have been discussing this very important book, and I look forward to this session. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Vivek. And I will be presenting the key points or the key ideas and thoughts from the book, which we felt important. And then as a participant, you can give your views also. And of course, we will take experts' views, suggestions, and ideas while discussing this book. So as you know, SARA is a name came from Savitribai Ramabai, and we call it Savitribai Ramabai Institute of Data Science. And under this, we formed a SARA book club in which we selected around 40 books, which we are going to read gradually in the coming months under the SARA book club. And we are discussing those books together because the purpose is that we want to prepare study material for a bridge level course for the students who just passed the 12th or they just finished the school and they want to enter the university. So through this course, they can, brush up or improve their, understanding of the essential concepts, like basic concepts of sociology, social science, mathematics, GK. So all different kinds of books are available there. And so if you want to donate a book for this club, you can go through this link and you can donate a book as well. And so we started this discussion with very important book, Annihilation of Caste. And, so that when we read other books, so we can connect with how caste operates in India. So, and to get the latest updates about the SARA, please follow the SARA WhatsApp channel so you get all the updates in your WhatsApp channel. Okay, so the book we are going to discuss is by Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, Annihilation of Caste, and today is the second session of that. So in the first session, we covered up to paragraph 2, and I think I would like to request Dr. Vivek to give a just little context in which this book was written and what key ideas we covered gradually, and then we'll directly start from paragraph number 3. Yes.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Ajay. So, in the last part, what we had discussed was the context in which the book was written, how it was a speech prepared by Dr. Ambedkar to be delivered at a conference by Jat Pat Todak Mandal. But eventually, because of their disagreement with the content of the book, it was not delivered. So, Dr. Ambedkar eventually decided to just publish it on his own. So we discussed about the context, and then we discussed about this very important point of whether political reform should precede social reform. So in doing that, he was responding to the major mainstream discourse of the Indian national movement, where the Indian national movement was saying that we need to first focus on what independence from the British, all the political reforms, and then social reform is something that can happen later. And Baba Sahib is telling us how this is a very disastrous kind of a policy, and why there is a need to have social reform before we have any sort of political reform. Otherwise, it would be incomplete. So this is where we had stopped. And in the third part that we are going to start today, we will be discussing how he prioritizes social reform over economic reform. So here he is responding to the socialists of the time who were of the belief that the economic or the material condition is the most important thing. So here Ambedkar is responding to that and saying that if we treat that as the most important dimension, we are going to miss out on many things. And social reform is again something that needs to precede economic reform. So I think this is where we can begin our discussion.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. So, see, this part three we can understand as like para three. So, it is for the participants. It's like the para three which Baba Sahib have written. And this title, Issues with Socialism, we have written this. Baba Sahib have not given any title to the paragraphs. So, we thought this paragraph talks about the issues with the socialism. So, we have given to this a like in paragraph three. Baba Sahib especially talk about the issues with the socialism in India. And when you see something like this in the slide, italic and this orange color, it means it is a direct quote taken from the book written by Baba Sahib. And right, so this is how we will go. And it will have help. Okay, so let's go. Let's start. So Baba Sahib wrote, they propound that man is an economic creature, that his activities and aspirations are bound by economic facts, that property is the only source of power. So by they, Baba Sahib is referring here to the socialists of Congress, Socialist Party. So he's saying that, as Dr. Vivek said, he there was a debate in India that time, which fight is more important, like going for the political reform, going for the social reform. Then I think it seems like a third front, which was talking about the political reform is also not important. Social reform is also not important. The more important is a economic reform, because their argument, socialist argument, was that man is an economic creature and property is the source of power. So Baba Sahib continues. They therefore preach that political and social reforms are but gigantic illusions, and that economic reform by equalization of property must have precedence over every other kind of reform, right? So, so it means like I have very less understanding of capitalism, socialism, but but I understand capitalism means when they talk more about the money orientation, accumulation of wealth and especially money. But here also I think when I'm reading Baba Sahib, he's also talking about the wealth, right? Distribution of wealth. Yeah? So that's what he's saying. The socialists argue, and that is in paragraph 3.1. Now, okay. So now against this, Baba Sahib argues that religion is the source of power, is illustrated by the history of India. So now he's challenging their view it is not the economic distribution, but actually the religion is the source of power, as the history of India says, where the priest holds sway over the common man, often greater than that of the magistrate, and where everything, even such things as strikes and elections, so easily take a religious turn and can so easily be given a religious twist. So I think the things have not changed even much today also. Today also we assume the same thing. It is very easy in India to give any incident or event a religious turn. So that's what Professor was arguing here. Now take the case of the plebeians of Rome as a further illustration of the power of religion over men. Okay. Before going further, Dr. Vivek, would you like to say something about till here? No.
Yeah, I think just a brief context about socialism, how what it talks about. So basically, socialism believes that private property is the cause of all inequality. If so, capitalism works on the principle of private property, and because of that, you have class differentiation, and you have the haves and have-nots. So to remove that, the only way that can be there is we remove private property through some way. And then there are different schools within socialism about how it is to be done, whether it needs to be gradual or whether there needs to be a revolutionary overthrow and things like that. But the primary idea remains that, and they are prioritizing this economic kind of reform over all other things. So they would say that even if you have political reform, the larger structure would remain the same. The capitalist class will continue to dominate over the proletariat. So that structure is going to remain. So that is just a superficial kind of a reform, according to the socialists. And now Baba Sahib will see how he is responding to this kind of an argument.
Hmm. Okay, and if you help me, because I hope some of the students who will watch this, maybe from the science background or maybe from geography background, who have no idea what is a, what was the word? Proletarian?
Proletariat, yeah.
Yes.
So proletariat would
Yes. Please,
just
can you
mean.
please?
Yeah. So basically, Marx, when he was talking about the different classes, he used the term bourgeois and proletariat. Bourgeois meaning the capitalist class, the people who own the means of production. So people who own the factories, own the land. These would be this would be the capitalist class. And then you have the proletariat, which is the working class. Everyone else who only has their labor to sell, so they go and work in the factories, and that is the only transaction they can do in the market. So this kind of differentiation is a characteristic of the capitalist order, and Marx believed that we will have this polarization into these two different classes. And eventually there will be so much of unrest and class consciousness, as he calls it, that the people who of the working class will realize that the system is not in their interest and we need to change that. So that is where he talks about the revolutionary overthrow of the state and removal of private property. Yeah.
So if we like make it very, very simple words, I'm just trying to help the
Mhm.
student if they will watch it later on. So we can say like the person who is a boss, he's a bourgeois because he owns the thing. And the
Yeah.
common public is proletariat. Is it right? Can we say that very simple words? Can we say like that? Okay.
Yeah, it could be like a factory owner would be
Right.
the bourgeois or the capitalist class, and the people who go and work in the factory every day, survive on wages, that is the working class, that is the proletariat.
Okay, nice. Okay, nice. So now I think after defeating the argument that political reform is more important than social reform in the paragraph 2 and first, now Baba Sahib in paragraph 3 is arguing and giving examples ki why actually more than economic revolution, but which socialists are asking, the history say in Indian history says that religion and the religious revolution is more important. And then he's taking example from the Rome, like in earlier also, Baba Sahib has taken example from the Rome. Like take the case, as Baba Sahib read, take the case of the plebeians of Rome as a further illustration of the power of religion over man. in paragraph 3.3. Now he explains. The question is, why did they fail in getting a strong plebeian to officiate as their council? So what was happening in Rome, or we can say in the Republic of Rome, after a lot of struggle, the plebeians and the patricians, right? That was the word, patricians. So patricians were the people who were the kids and kins of the people who were in power, and plebeians were the people, ordinary people who fought for their rights. And with the struggle now, but still, Baba Sahib was saying the plebeians were failing, right, to put or to bring the person at the main seat who can, do something good for them. Though they have the rights on paper, but actually they were not getting done something significant for them, right? So that's why they were failing. So so now also I wrote, they agreed to elect another less suitable to themselves, but more suitable to the goddess, which in fact meant more amenable to the patricians. So the process in the Rome was, the person was nominated by the patricians, and the person was nominated by the plebeians. But then the person used to be present in front of the goddess, and some godman in between used to say whether the person was allowed by the goddess or not. So whenever in the case of the plebeians they found a strong contender, so they always said the goddess has rejected that person. And and see, the justification Baba Sahib has written very nicely here. So rather than give up religion, the plebeians gave up the material gain for which they had fought so hard. So the plebeians failed because they failed to challenge the religion, because they also accepted ki yes, goddess is saying this plebeian is not suitable, so okay, accept it, find a better one. So the reason of plebeians, failure of the plebeians was not they were not having the right person, they were not having the right argument or the right struggle. The reason of failure was they failed to challenge the religious authority. Yeah? So it's a beautiful example. Okay, but so then further. So after giving this example, now Baba Sahib is talking about more why socialism will fail. Paragraph 3.10. Men will not join in a revolution for the equalization of property unless they know that after the revolution is achieved, they will be treated equally, and that there will be no discrimination of caste and creed. Right? He will be compelled, he means socialist, he will be compelled to take account of caste after the revolution if he doesn't take account of it before the revolution. This is only another way of saying that turn in any direction you like, caste is the monster that crosses your path. You cannot have political reform, you cannot have economic reform unless you kill this monster. Yes, Dr. Vivek, what do you say?
Yeah, I think here Baba Sahib is pointing to a very important thing, that to have some sort of a revolution, you need unity among the people. And in a society like India, which is based on caste and divided so strongly, we will never have that kind of equality, this sense of fraternity, which can lead to a revolution. So that is the first thing that he's saying, that the revolution that the socialists are talking about, it's simply not possible, because the working class itself is divided into different caste groups. So even a worker from an upper caste would discriminate against a worker from the lower caste. So there is no sense of fraternity or justice among the people themselves, and that would lead to that would prevent the revolution. And then he says that if we were to even somehow magically have a revolution, after that we would eventually have to deal with the question of caste, because that is not something that we can just ignore. Right? So I think here he's very well summarizing his arguments against both those who prioritize political reforms and economic reforms by saying that this is going to be incomplete. If we don't really have social reform, these are going to be superficial kind of changes. And the very important thing that he talks about, I think there was a sentence I would want to read out, section 3.7, where he says religion, social status, and property are all sources of power and authority, which one man has to control the liberty of another. So he's talking of religion, social status, and property. All of these are sources of power and authority, not just property or not just religion. So we need to account for all of these things if we want to really transform society. So yeah, I think that is the core argument of this section.
And the challenge while quoting Baba Sahib is that we feel every line is so important, read through everything. Now I'm just few flashes of the book coming back. Baba Sahib gave very simple but very powerful example. In India, rich people, very, very powerful people, they go to the very poor fakirs, very poor babas, and they obey them, you know. So that also shows ki economic power is nothing without the religious power, so
Right.
so right, he has given that example, I just recollect.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
now let little sidetrack from this, will not take very lengthy, but little bit I just want to highlight. Recently it was in lot of debate in last 1 year, Gen Z revolution in South Asia. And if I'm not wrong, several Ambedkarites have written that Gen Z revolution is not possible in India. And they give almost a similar argument because there is no, community-based unity in India because we are divided in caste. Am I correct? You can please help me to understand?
Yeah, definitely. I think that has been a major critique from the Ambedkarite circle that when we talk of any sort of category like middle class or Indian citizen or student, we are often not acknowledging that there are differences within them.
Mhm.
So it's usually the interest of certain sections only which are protected, and the so large scale issues of Dalits and Adivasis will continue to be ignored. They've never become mainstream issues. And there is no united kind of a youth. So the Gen Z that we are talking about, a lot of it might also be having very strong anti-reservation kind of stances as well.
Mhm.
So we can't really talk of it in a, homogeneous kind of a way.
Mhm.
So that is true. I mean, we can't assume that these categories exist and everyone will just get united under one common cause.
Right. Okay. So now let's move to para number 4. And here Baba Sahib talks about the division of laborers. So let's start reading. So it is pity that caste even today has its defenders. And if I re-quote Baba Sahib, it is pity that even today there are caste defenders in India. So even after so many years of writing this book, yes, it is defended on the ground that the caste system is but another name for division of labor. The caste system is not merely a division of labor, it is also division of laborers. And researchers know this. This is called ellipsis. It means in between there are few sentences or words I have removed just to maintain the continuity between the main ideas. Okay. And in no other country is the division of labor accompanied by this gradation of labor. Yeah, please help me to understand this gradation of laborers.
Yeah, so here what Baba Sahib is doing is he's responding to those people who would say that, see, caste is just a different form of class, that every society has a division of labor. Some people do some works, others do other work, and that actually increases the efficiency. So that was the argument that people would give in support of caste system. But then when Baba Sahib is saying this, that the caste system is not merely a division of labor, it is also a division of laborers. Why is he saying this? It is because he says in the Indian context, these are not flexible categories through which you can move. These are watertight compartments. So if you are born into a caste, of scavengers, you have to do scavenging. Your sons have to do scavenging. So these are watertight compartments. And these are not just differences, these are also arranged in a hierarchical fashion. So that is what he means by gradation of laborers. So it's not just that, okay, someone is doing plumbing, someone is doing cleaning. All of these tasks are arranged in a hierarchy of purity. That see the work that is done in the market. This is a higher kind of work as compared to cleaning and so on. So yeah, it is not a efficient system of allocating or dividing labor, which every society would have that kind of a system of dividing labor. But there will always be the possibility of moving through different sections, which is not there in caste. So that is what Baba Sahib is highlighting over here.
Yeah. Then, but in no civilized society is division of labor accompanied by this unnatural division of laborers into watertight compartments. Yeah, that's what you were referring to. Like, yes, okay. Unnatural division, very powerful, strong words, unnatural division of laborers. Okay. So this division of labor is not spontaneous. It is not based on natural aptitudes, and but on that of the social status of the parents. So whatever is the social status of the parents, the kids will automatically will get that. So there is no logic, there is no reason, just it has been decided, your parents are like this, so you are like this. So then you can never come out of it, because, okay, okay, okay. Now, if a Hindu is seen to starve rather than take to new occupations not assigned to his caste, the reason is to be found in the caste system. Because like even today, we keep on hearing the news, like if the, like in India, we have a system of midday meal. And if the midday meal server or the cook, especially cook, is a coming from the Bahujan community or Dalit community, we always frequently, once in a month or some or the another state, we listen news that the parents rejected or the kids rejected, to eat that food. So, even today it is like this, that that going from one caste-based occupation to another occupation, it is not allowed as per the caste system. So it means, like, see, Bhavasa highlighted starve, a Hindu will starve, but it is not allowed to choose the other person's occupation. Yeah. That's it. Okay. The division of labor brought about by the caste system is not a division based on choice. Individual sentiment, individual preference has no place in it. It is based on the dogma of predestination. Oh, please help me to understand dogma of predestination.
Yeah,
Uh,
so I think here by this dogma of predestination is somewhere referring to the karma theory, that because of your karma in your past birth,
mhm.
you are born into this caste and therefore you have to do this task. Right? So if you are doing something which is humiliating, it is because of your sins in the past birth, and this is predestined. This has been written already. You can't change it. So there is no scope of choosing one's occupation or choosing what they want to do. So if a person is born into a Vaishya community, then he has to do business, whether he is interested in it or not, whether he is good at it or not, he has to do business. Right?
Exactly, for the same
Similarly,
reason I highlighted it. Like, it is the same curse even for the for the Swarna
for
also.
the upper fare. Right, right. So they are restricted to those categories. They can't go beyond that. Although the work they have been assigned is, of course, having greater social status. So they wouldn't really want to perhaps run away from it. But for others, especially for the those who are outside of the caste or the Varna order, there we see that a lot of humiliating kind of or degrading kind of work has to be done by these castes, and it is justified by saying that this is all predestined. You can't change it. There is no option for this. And there is also this other term which you had highlighted in the previous session, which comes in this section. So, here Baba Sahib also talks about social and individual efficiency. That is this really a way of ensuring social and individual efficiency? And he says no. Neither is the individual getting to their highest potential, nor is the society getting organized on the most efficient kind of lines. So he's saying that caste is against this idea of efficiency, both in individual and social terms.
So then it means nobody is actually experiencing happiness in the caste system, whether it is the first level, second level, or the third level. So, but okay, 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 okay. So this was about the division of labor, like how Baba Sahib sees that. Then, and now we are going towards the paragraph number 5, where we'll see the arguments of pure blood and race, like and people defend caste, that caste is important to maintain a superior race, and what arguments Baba Sahib put forward. Let's go for that. Okay. Now, to treat, one second, why it is not going away? It should go away. 1 minute. Okay. Okay. Right. So to treat different castes as though they were so many different races is a gross perversion of facts. So it's very, very clear. Different caste doesn't mean they are different races. Then, okay. The caste system is a the caste system is a social division of people of the same race, right? So all these are the people of the same race, but it is actually social division based upon the birth or the occupation. That is status. Is there more to understand about the social division?
I think what he's trying to point out to it is that it's not people of different races, because there is, as he says, there has been an intermingling of different races, and you can't say that a Brahmin of Madras and a Brahmin of, say, Uttar Pradesh have similar racial features. So, of course, those differences are there. So, we cannot equate it to that. And rather than that, it's just one large race of people who have been divided into this endogamous units of caste.
And
So
by
that is how it.
and by social division, Baba Sahib means based upon the occupation, based upon the caste, right?
Yeah, yeah, based upon the caste.
Okay. Now, a tree should be judged by the fruit it yields. If caste is eugenic it is no more a scientific discipline, but it was at that time when Baba Sahib was writing this book, and people were doing experiments, and to establish that studying race or racial feature is a scientific field. So, but it is no more, it is rejected by the science that eugenic study is a unethical, unscientific study. But that time it was, people were talking, and so that time Baba Sahib wrote that if caste is eugenic, what sort of race of man should it have produced? Okay. Physically speaking, the Hindus are C3 people. C3, it is a gradation in India that time for the army by the British. And C3 means the people who are unfit to get inside the army. So largely of the Indians were unfit to go inside the army, British army. So that's what Baba Sahib was referring here. They are a race of pygmies and dwarfs, stunted in stature and wanting in stamina. It is a nation 9/10 of which is declared to be unfit for military service. This shows that the caste system doesn't embody the eugenics of modern scientists. It is a social system which embodies the arrogance and selfishness of a perverse section of the Hindus who were superior enough in social status to set it in fashion, and who had the authority to force it on their inferiors. So for me, these lines are very impressive. That caste system, just some people made it a fashion and they put it upon the others out of authority. There is based upon the taking the help of some scriptures or no, then as evidence. So that's very powerful. Yes, Dr. Vivek. Yes.
Yeah, I think here he is again totally shattering the argument about how caste might be some way of maintaining superior kind of offsprings, right? As eugenics is all about that, that we can maintain superior offsprings by selective kind of breeding. And
Mhm.
it's important to know that this is also this period, the 1930s is the period where the Nazi Germany is using these kind of ideas to actually kill off so many of the people, the Jews and the disabled in Germany. So eugenics as a very dangerous form of racism was clearly evident at that time. And Ambedkar is therefore trying to clearly dismantle this kind of argument. Now, and it's very interesting because like at this point of time, there was not much evidence about genetic diversity and so on. But now the present research has shown that what Baba Sahib was saying is was true. So there was a study in 2009 in Nature which talked about how in India there is because of this endogamy that we follow, there is inbreeding within the same community. So it's a closed community and there is a lot of inbreeding, which leads to founder effects. Now, founder effects means that people within the same group who are interbreeding. And because of that, the genetic abnormalities that are there, they have a higher chance of getting expressed. And again, there was a 2017 study which shows that because of this, what we see is in certain caste groups, certain kind of genetic diseases are much higher because of this. So if there was intermixing, then we would have had lesser chances of these genetic issues. But because there is no intermixing, because of endogamy, we are actually seeing that Indians are, the different caste groups, they are actually being weaker. They are more susceptible to genetic abnormalities and things like that. So I think what Baba Sahib said in 1930s is now being shown by modern research on genetics as well. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm just assuming and I'm asking out of curiosity, please help me. So can we say like now, because of casteism, the diseases are also getting the caste? Because maybe one particular community will get a particular type of a disease because of endogamy, and as well
Yeah.
as maybe they only are following a particular daily lifestyle which others are not allowed to do, because many diseases are lifestyle disease, in India and in
Mhm.
with the growing the lifestyle everywhere in the world. So that I think that's very interesting, and there might be studies also which can help us to enlighten more about it. That if we study in different caste hierarchies, what maybe even diseases are, we may find
Right.
in, yeah.
Yeah, there is actually some evidence of this. I mean, I was also searching for what kind of research has happened,
Hmm.
and I found a few studies based in Andhra
Hmm.
where they have looked at certain caste group, and they found that in like the Reddys in Andhra,
Hmm.
the probability of them having a certain disease was much higher than other communities. So,
Oh.
because there might be a certain genetic uh, maleficence that is there in a community
Mhm.
that gets magnified when there is inbreeding. So there is scope for more research, and maybe there is more that I don't know about. But yeah, I did find this one study about Andhra, which talks exactly about what your point.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Now let's move to the paragraph 6. And now Baba Sahib is talking about Hindu society. And I put this question mark because in this whole paragraph, Baba Sahib has put so many questions that whether it is a society, yes or no, and then why not? Hindu society is a myth. The name Hindu is itself a foreign name. So, very powerful words and very, very true. And, that's why Baba Sahib, when he wrote, starting this book, he quoted Buddha, see truth as truth and untruth as untruth. There is no point, sugarcoating the things. So, and I really liked about I read first time Baba Sahib during my PhD. And I immediately became fan of his writing and putting argument in a very beautiful way. That is and I think Bhavasa work also should be taught in research methodology courses, how to put argument, how to put argument like a very strong point, then slowly definition of that. And that's very interesting. I found very interesting. Okay. So Hindu society is a myth. The name Hindu is itself is a foreign name. And why Baba Sahib called is foreign? Because he wrote this name is given to the Indians by the Mughals or what is called Mohammedans who came to India, and they want to differentiate themselves from the native people. So this name given by them to the people who were living that time in India. I think this much explanation is enough, I guess, Vivek. And right? Okay. And there is an utter lack among the Hindus of what the sociologists call consciousness of kind. Okay, consciousness of kind. There is no Hindu consciousness of kind. In every Hindu, the consciousness that exists is the consciousness of his caste. That is the reason why the Hindu cannot be said to form a society or a nation. Okay. Okay. Then I think, yeah, before going further, please, Dr. Ved.
Yeah, I think this is pretty self-evident what Baba Sahib is talking about, that uh, the consciousness of being of a certain caste, of being a Brahmin, of being a Kshatriya, Rajput, or anything, is much stronger than the consciousness of being a Hindu. So, like he talks about in some other paragraph, he says it's not enough to know if you ask someone and someone answers, "Who are you?" and you say, "I'm a Hindu." The inquiry will not stop at that. The inquiry will go further and they would want to know what your caste is. And I think this is something most people in India must have experienced at some point, that people are very eager to know what your surname, what your caste is. So the consciousness is of a caste, that you belong to a certain caste group, and that is the primary thing that you are affiliated with, rather than having this sense of being common Hindus, let alone be common identity like citizens. So that is something even further off for a country like India.
And for me, still this word uh, kind is still not that much clear. So can you help me with an example? Like, see, this is an example where we can say, yes, they have a consciousness of a kind.
Uh, yeah, I think what Babasaheb also does is he compares it to other communities. So, for instance, he talks about Muslims and Sikhs, and he says that, see, if we talk to a Muslim or a Sikh, then there is this sense of being Sikh, and that is the primary affiliation, right? Their idea is that yes, we are all Sikhs. There is some sort of a unity, united feeling. What he is also using the Hindi term "bhai," that there is a form of bhaichara between them, and therefore they feel that yes, we are of one kind, we are all connected, and there is this sense of fraternity. But among the Hindus, that consciousness is not there, because everyone will primarily identify with their own caste group, that uh, our caste group is one kind of people, the others are another kind of people, so they are always going to be distinct according to the Hindu.
And just one more point, I just want asking for my clarification. So can we say like that in Hindi, in kind we say कि सभी एक प्रकार के हैं और सभी एक प्रकार के नहीं हैं. Can we understand like this?
Yeah, kind of, yeah, we can say
हिंदू
that, yeah.
सोसाइटी में लोग एक प्रकार के नहीं हैं बिकॉज ऑफ द कास्टिज्म.
Hmm.
बट
हाँ,
सिखिज्म मेक देम सिख. सभी एक हैं, सभी सिख हैं, सभी
right,
मुस्लिम हैं, है ना? ओके,
right,
सो सभी
right,
एक प्रकार के हैं, वी कैन से दैट. ओके, थैंक यू.
right,
Okay, so सभी एक प्रकार के हैं. We can say that.
right,
Okay.
yeah.
Thank you. Okay. So then in paragraph 6.5, uh, similarity in certain things is not enough to constitute a society. Baba Sahib is writing this because many people give an argument, kind of unity in diversity kind of a argument here. See, in India, we have so many similarities among the people, and that's why we are a society. So Baba Sahib rejects that and saying that similarity in certain things is not enough to constitute a society. It might be element of it, but it is not enough to call it is a society. Men constitute a society because they have things which they possess in common. And the only way by which men can come to possess things in common with one another is by in communication with one another. So it means the people should have communication, then only they have something in common. And as Baba Sahib previous paragraph said, ki casteism is a watertight compartments. So it means there is no communication, right? There is nothing common. And that's why I think he's saying again, it is not a society. Is it? Okay. Let's read one more and then we'll go to Dr. Vik. The caste system prevents common activity. And by preventing common activity, it has prevented the Hindus from becoming a society with a unified life and a consciousness of its own being. Okay, what common activity Baba Sahib is referring here? Like,
Uh, I think what he is talking about, because he defines democracy in this way of associated living, that democracy is not just a form of government, it is a society where people live together.
Mhm.
Right? So the common activity could mean any mundane activity, right? Interaction in the market or the interdining or mixing of people and so on. So he's saying that what caste does is it prevents all common activity. So there is nothing in common between different castes, even if they are living in the same locality. There will be no interlinkages or communication between them. They won't be attending each other's functions. They
Mhm.
won't be part of their festivals and so on. So there is no common arena in which people are going to meet because of the caste system.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Okay, so I think because of more content, I did not add that thing because Baba Sahib mentioned, as Dr. Vivek said, कि Muslim will recognize another person as a bhai, Muslim bhai, and Sikh will
Right.
also recognize as that, he is my Sikh bhai. But that concept is missing from the Hindu.
Right.
He will not say he's my Hindu bhai. He will say he's my caste bhai, brother or sister, not the
Right.
Hindu
Right.
brother or sister. Yeah, yeah,
Hmm.
that's make a lot of sense now. Thank you. Right. So let's move towards the paragraph 7. And after reading this whole paragraph, we found something called as anti-social spirit. So right, let's know more about it. Anti-social spirit is the worst feature of their own caste system. Okay. So the caste system, I think it generates or develops or inculcates among the people anti-social spirit. So Baba Sahib talks about it. An anti-social spirit is found where one group has interests of its own, which shut it out from full interaction with other groups. I am big fan of this using of word full interaction. See gradation, full interaction. So, habi or nahibi kind of. So Brahmin interacts with Banyas and Kshatriyas, but still it maintains superiority. So interaction only or the up to the level which keeps the superiority of one caste above the another. So very, very beautiful. Okay. So which shut it out from full interaction with other groups so that its prevailing purpose is protection of what it has got. Okay. Very, very beautiful. The Hindus, therefore, are not merely an assortment of castes, but are so many warring groups, each living for itself and for its selfish idea. Though it is very, very clear just by reading it, but still, Dr. Vivek, your ideas.
Yeah, I think it very clearly captures the spirit of caste. That
Mm,
caste brings a consciousness where you are interested only in the interest of your caste group. So
mm,
you, it doesn't matter to you what is happening to someone else. Uh, there are these multiple castes which are always fighting with each other for the limited resources, for the limited social status, and that is what Baba Sahib is talking of as anti-social spirit, that this is something that is actually breaking society. This goes against the idea of society itself. That we are, instead of thinking of society would be formed when there are certain common interests between the people. So we can't call a caste-based society a society in that sense.
yeah. So the present day known Brahmin cannot forgive the present day Brahmins for the insult their ancestors gave to Shivaji. Okay, so now here Baba Sahib is talking about a historical fact from Maharashtra. I think that time it was not Maratha, it was Maratha, not Maharashtra, I guess, but it was a Maratha empire. And it was the time that Shivaji was about to declare as a king, and he should be coronated as a king, but the priest or the Brahmins refused to declare him as a king because they doubted he is not a Kshatriya, right? And then there was a one Brahmin, and he came all the somewhere from the long distance, and then he declared Shivaji, and he find the lineage. Yes, he is a Kshatriya. But in the footnotes of the books, we can see that he charged a lot of money to Shivaji, for doing all those work. Actually, it means he has done that paid work. And so like today we see, babas take money and they say, "Ki, okay, we will resolve all your problems of nashatras and grahas and everything." Something similar might they have done with the Shivaji as well. So, but in the footnote, it was very, very clearly mentioned that in many scholarly work, it is mentioned that the priest, the Brahmin who declared Shivaji as a king, he charged a huge amount of money to Shivaji actually for that. Okay. The existence of caste and caste consciousness has served to keep the memory of past feuds between castes green and has prevented solidarity. So yeah, please help me to understand this, Dr. Vivek.
Yeah, I think because of this kind of warring factions of caste that Baba Sahib is talking about, every caste working for their interest, and so many of these instances in history where one caste is oppressing another caste,
Mhm,
all of this is going to be there in the memory of the people. That this had happened in the past, this we were subjugated like this, and that prevents solidarity. That prevents this coming together of the people, or this sense of belonging together, because there will always be this memory that, see, this community had done this to us.
mhm,
And we can look at modern examples of atrocities. So there are so many, like every year more than 30, 40,000, and the number is increasing. 30, 40,000 atrocities by non-SC/STs on SC/STs across India. And these are of very inhuman kind of nature, ranging from uh, making people drink urine, or even raping and killing them. So, of course, these are going to be part of the memories of the people, and that will prevent the coming together of people of different caste groups. So, that anti-social element of caste is there in the memory itself. That is what Baba said is pointing toward.
And if may I add here one point, and we are not able to forget that because we are still in that caste, and that person is
Right,
still in that caste, because
right.
that categorization is continuing even after 200 years, and that's why
Mhm.
that that what do you say, that what do you say, घाव वो घाव मतलब वो
Mhm.
it is always there, that
Mhm.
okay, that injury is there,
Right,
still.
right,
Yeah.
right.
Okay, okay. So in this paragraph, there is a talk about the Adivasis of India and tribes of India, and let's go and talk about that. Okay. The fact still remains that these aborigines have remained remained in their primitive, uncivilized state in a land which boasts of civilization thousands of years old. So, in the footnotes of the book which I read, uh, here the Baba Sahib's view about the tribes, they cited as little problematic because Baba Sahib called the tribes as uncivilized and aborigines. Uh, okay, it as per the footnotes. But what my understanding was that Baba Sahib was trying to to make the contrast more apparent, because whenever we talk about the Indian system, society system, we say that our civilization is thousands of years old. So I think to highlight that even in during those thousands of years, we are not able to improve the lifestyle of the Adivasis here. They are still aborigines, they are still primitive, you know. So, civilizing the aborigines means adopting them as your own, living in their midst, and cultivating fellow feeling, in short, loving them. So you are saying if they wanted to improve them, they have to love them, right? And how is it possible for a Hindu to do this? His whole life is one anxious effort to preserve his caste. Caste is his precious possession, which he must save at any cost. And I think that's why we have honor killing. Very immediate example coming to my brain when we talk about caste saving is the honor killing. People kill their own daughter, grown-up boys, and girl and boys just because they want to save their caste. Caste is his precious possession, which he must save at any cost. He cannot consent to lose it by establishing contact with the aborigines, the remnants of the hateful Anaryas of the Vedic days. I read a little footnote about this Anarya. Anarya in the Vedic days, it is a mention that the people who have flat nose, you know, so right, or almost it is written in the Veda, people who have no nose. So the meaning of Anarya means here the people who have no nose. So the tribes in the Vedas as mentioned as the people who has no nose actually. So that Anarya is there. Yes, Dr. Vivek, over to you.
Yeah. So about the question of tribal, this is something that Babasaheb also deals with in his other essay, Caste in India, where he talks about how caste come into existence, and he mentions that the people who resisted the most to this caste-based order, they were the ones who eventually had to go and live in forest and all, and these are the tribals or the aborigines that are there. And yes, he's trying to contrast this kind of claim that we have been a great civilization for thousands of years by pointing out, if that is true, then what about the condition of the people, the aborigines who are forced to work or forced to steal? Why have you not improved them? And once again, he's going to this idea of caste consciousness being so strong that people are so anxious that we want to maintain the caste order, that if I go and preach to the tribal, it is going to pollute me. So other religions like Christianity, they made more inway into tribal regions because they were open to interaction of this kind. They did not have this kind of religious belief that these are polluting people or criminal people. So in that sense, he's saying, see, this sense of civilization, if it was really there, we would have civilized everyone. We would have made them part of mainstream society rather than letting them live in such conditions.
Right, right. Thank you. Let's go next. Now we're going to paragraph number 9. And here he declared that Hindus are mean people, and let's see why. Higher caste Hindus have deliberately prevented the lower castes who are within the pale of Hinduism from rising to the cultural level of the higher caste. Right? So in the Indian caste system, we do not have we have the divisions, and the divisions are also like the first grade, second grade, third grade. That's why Baba Sahib called is gradation. And deliberately, higher caste Hindus did not allow lower caste, though they were in the fold of the Hinduism, maybe Kshatriyas or uh, business class and the Shudras. At the cultural level, like you cannot follow the practice of the Brahmins, the way they wear, the way they take education, the way they do their the way they live, actually the way of living, because the way of living portrays who you are, and they intentionally did not allow other lower caste people to follow that cultural level rising. Okay. So he has given an example of sonars imitating Brahmins. Baba Sahib gave example. There was a sonar community in Maharashtra, and they started wearing dhotis with the golden border, just like the Brahmins, and doing namaskar and tilak just like the Brahmins. So Brahmins felt so offended, said how they can, look like us. So they went to the judiciary, and they had taken particular orders against the Sonar people. And then there was another example from the Pathare Prabhus. It is another community following the Brahmins. They also started the widow remarriage, which was a good practice. But Brahmins were, Baba Sahib is saying, Brahmins were like so much keen, no, only we can do that. Even this doing this good thing is also our right only. So they did not allow Pathare Prabhu community to do the widow remarriage, and they again went for the policy, and they went to the British Empire, and they put hold on that. So these are two examples Baba Sahib gave ki, how upper caste did not allow so cultural risings and the changes in the other Hindus caste. So
Just one thing. I think in the case of widow remarriage, it was, in my understanding, it was the other way around.
okay.
That if widow remarriage was allowed, that was usually it was allowed in the lower caste and those in the lower in the hierarchy, and the upper caste did not allow for widow remarriage. So the Pathare Prabhus had the practice of widow remarriage because they were so-called Shudras,
Okay.
and then to imitate the upper caste, they stopped doing widow remarriage.
Oh,
So that, see, just like the Brahmins don't do widow remarriage, we also don't do
oh,
widow remarriage, and
oh.
we are also an upper caste. So that is what he. I think that is my understanding of what was happening, because that was one reform, that like the practice of not allowing widow remarriage was prominent among Brahmins,
Mhm.
not among the lower caste.
Okay, let's note down the case of Pathare Prabhus, and we'll clarify in the next session. Uh,
Right.
okay, right. So Baba Sahib says, I have no hesitation in saying that if the Mohammedan has been cruel, the Hindus has been mean, and meanness is worse than cruelty. So what I understood is cruel people means that, yes, this person is brutal, he's a cruel, he's going to kill you, beat you. But the mean means you never know what is going on in the person's mind, whether he's going to treat you fair or unfair, he's a friend or enemy, or you can say like, no, good, bad, and ugly. So mean is the ugly, I guess, right? So that's what Baba is trying to say, that ki, say many people say the Mughals were cruel. They came, with the sword they conquered. So he said that if that is the case, if in that case the Mohammedan are better or than the mean Hindus, he's saying that because Hindus were mean of not sharing their cultural capital. That's what I think something, that's why he called them mean, because they have the knowledge, they have the understanding, but they just to keep their superiority, they did not allow it to percolate, in the society. That's why I think Baba Sahib was calling them mean, you know, right? So, yes, any words for the here from your side, Dr. Vivek?
Yeah, I think why he's making this comparison is
Mm,
in the case of Muslims, there was this argument that there has been forced conversion,
mm,
that people were forced through this word to convert into Islam
mm,
and be part of the Muslim society. So he's saying that yes, that is a cruel thing to do, that if you are forcing someone. But he's saying the Hindus are mean. Even if they could, they had the power to bring someone into their society, they were actively trying not to bring them in. So at least the Muslim, once you got converted into a Muslim, you would become part of a common Muslim kind of life or society. But the Hindus are mean because they are actually preventing others from being part of their society. They are actively trying to remove people from the part of society, and that is worse than forcing them to be part of your society. So that is the comparison.
Okay, great. And that's what we are coming to part here, which Dr. Vivek said, conversion, because in paragraph 10, now Baba Sahib is talking about the conversion via Muslims, Christianity, then why not via Hinduism or Hindu? The real question is, why did the Hindu religion cease to be a missionary religion? So there was a like debate whether Hinduism religion is a missionary religion, like they go and convert and say people to come to the Hinduism. So Baba Sahib say it was once upon a time, but then gradually it is no more a missionary because of the rise of the casteism, and he is giving the reasons that we should ask why Hindu religion ceased to be a missionary religion. The Hindu religion ceased to be a missionary religion when the caste system grew up among the Hindus. Right? Caste is inconsistent with conversion. And why? Hindu society being a collection of castes and each caste being a closed corporation, there is no place for a convert. Right? And why there is no place for the convert? Because if you convert somebody, how will you decide in which caste that person will go? Right? So that was the big dilemma here, like where you are going to, because it is a closed corporation. Here, the entry is only by the birth. And after the conversion, where you are going to place them? Yes, Dr. Vivek.
Yeah, I think this very beautifully captures the contradiction that is there. That so there was the Shuddhi movement that was also going on, where people were being asked to convert back to Hinduism. But then the question would be, like you pointed out, that where would you place them in the social order, in the caste order? And because you can't be just a Hindu, you need to also have a caste. So that makes it inconsistent. You can't bring back people into a caste society. And that is why Hinduism could no longer be a missionary kind of religion, according to Baba Sahib.
And at the end of this paragraph, the last paragraph, he said that Shuddhi is just a folly. It is a stupidity. It's nothing else. That Shuddhi Karan and all. So okay, so that's okay. Now let's go and sorry, yeah, yes, paragraph number 11. Here,
Yeah,
what Dr. Vivek mentioned earlier. Yeah, sorry, please.
yeah. I was just thinking if we should ask the participants if they have any question, because we have been discussing, and
Yeah,
we
because we
didn't really
don't have
give
a
it
we don't have a
moderated.
moderator today. Yeah,
Yeah,
so we are just
yeah, yeah.
going with the
So
flow. Yes, yes.
yeah. So in
We
case
have
any of the people,
Sonali and Dr. Nikki. Yeah, please, if you can, you are please speak and any comments or how bad we are doing. So please let us know. So
yeah, or if you want to put the questions in the chat box, so we can
yeah,
also
yeah.
discuss that.
I don't have any questions so far, but I'm liking the discussion. I especially like how you're putting it into the context. Later we can have a discussion on. I think a few minutes before Dr. Vivek mentioned. So we had a discussion on genetics and caste and endogamy. I would like if we can discuss that further. Uh, but
I think
after,
it is a good
once we
time.
have.
We can discuss now also because we'll get little rest and we will get little more few ideas. Yeah, Sonali, please ask your thing. That
Um, I just I wanted to question like how did Baba Sahib looked at the relation between race and caste? So uh, Jyotirao Phule, he kind of Mahatma Phule, uh, collapsed the distinction between race and caste, but Baba Sahib in his writings dismissed Aryan invasion theory. So I just wanted to ask that, and how does that relate with the question of genetics?
Yeah, I think that is a tough question because you have to look at the whole
Yeah.
corpus of writing of both
Yes.
Mahatma Phule and Baba Sahib. But yeah, I think you're right to say that Mahatma Phule was primarily talking in terms of the Aryan invasion theory, and because that was perhaps the prominent theory at that time, and he was responding to what was available to him. And by the time that Baba Sahib is writing, he felt that we can't really have that kind of an argument anymore, that there was an Aryan invasion. So he talks of the intermixing that has happened between different caste groups or different races, for instance, in India. And because that has happened, he is not insisting on caste being a form of race. And I think modern genetics later also points out to this thing, that prior to 100th century BC, there was a lot of intermixing that happened between the people in the Indian subcontinent. But it is after 100th century BC that we see this period where the intermixing stops, and that is the period around which the Manusmriti is coming in. So I think people of different races, therefore, had been intermingling for a long time, and then suddenly this text was imposed and a social order was imposed, and you had within the same or mixed race of people, you had this artificial construct of caste that was started by the Brahmins, and then it was imitated by the others. And I think Baba Sahib also makes a comparison. I mean, he's sympathetic to the cause of slavery. In US, he was in conversation with Du Bois and other. Uh, at the same time, he made a distinction between them, that perhaps caste system is worse than slavery or the form of racism that is there. So perhaps that is something that we can go into further. Why exactly is Baba Sahib saying this? Why did he feel? Perhaps one of the reasons could be that a black man could also be a free man. So not all black men uh, were slaves. So they could also be free men. They could also own property to some extent. But in the Indian case, you have a disarming of the untouchables to such an extent that they don't have access to arms, they don't have access to property, money, education, anything. So there is no chance for the lower caste to really oppose. While racism might still give that kind of opportunity, even while it is excluding, it might still give that opportunity to at least some of the people. So, I mean, this is my response, but I don't think it's a comprehensive one. Of course, this is something that we'd have to look further, and I would be interested to know what others think of this.
That is very satisfactory response. Thank you, Dr. Vivek. And I understand this is a very complex question, but it just passed my mind, so I thought to ask.
Uh, Thank you for the question.
Great, thank you, thank you. Great. And caste is a very slippery concept, and any brilliant mind can make mistake with it. And thank you, Sonali, for asking it. And we are under this SARA book club. We are going to read more and more books from different perspectives. Like we are going to read the gene book, how genetics work. We are going to read *Sapiens* by Yuval, right? He will give an overview of the history. So we'll get some idea, that then we'll be able to connect what others actually think and how caste we can relate to in today's context, right? So, but thank you so much. Yes. So let me go next.
Yeah, let's continue. I think.
Okay. So now we are going to talk about associated mode of living. That's what Dr. Vivek earlier also mentioned, that we don't have a consciousness of consciousness of kind, because in India, people don't have an associated mode of living. So let's learn more about it. The Hindu can drive no such strength. Sorry, a few sentences I skipped, because the strength he was talking about is the strength of a Mohammedan or a Muslim when they say, ki, okay, my Muslim brother, my Muslim bhai. The strength of a Sikh person when they will say, ki, one Sikh equals to 1 lakh people, you know. So like Baba Sahib says, they will never run away from the battle, because they believe if they are in the battle, their brothers, their bhai, like Muslim for Muslim, Sikh for Sikh, they will join and they will strengthen the movement or the revolution. But a Hindu cannot drive a strength like this, because in Hindu society or the Hindu system, caste system, we are not brothers. We are people who are divided into the caste. Okay. He cannot feel assured that his fellow will come to his help. Being one and fated to be alone, he remains powerless, develops timidity and cowardice, and in a fight surrenders or runs away. That's what Baba Sahib wrote about the Hindu. Among Sikhs and Muslims, there is a social cement. Again, very beautiful word, social cement, you know, which makes them bhais. Among Hindus, there is no such cement, and one Hindu does not regard another Hindu as his bhai. Indifferentism is the worst kind of disease that can infect a people. Indifferentism, if I can say in simple words like mujhe kya, right? That attitude, ki mujhe kya, right? Why is the Hindu so indifferent? In my opinion, his indifferentism is the result of the caste system, which has made Sangathan and cooperation even for a good cause impossible. So we should say Hindus don't look or see the cause, they see caste. And that's why they fail to make a cooperation or a Sangathan. And it is impossible. Yes, Dr. Vivek.
Yeah, I think in this section, Baba Sahib is being provocative as well in some senses, that because it was a speech meant for the upper caste Hindus. He is telling them that, see, you are such weak people. You are so weak, you have no sense of belongingness with each other, and that is why you will remain a weak society. So he's provoking them to think in this way that, see, if you want to be a strong society, you actually need to break caste. So I think we need to also understand it in that sense, that that is what he's trying to do here.
Okay. Okay. Now, paragraph 12, we talk about the excommunication. Like in the caste system, there is a practice of bahishkar karna logo ka. He stopped the communication with them. So he's going to discuss about that. The assertion by the individual of his own opinions and beliefs, his own independence and interest over and against group standards, group authority, and group interests is the beginning of all reform. Okay. Okay. So Baba Sahib is here, it is giving more importance of self, you know, our own opinion, our own decision making and interest over the group. And by the group, he is meaning caste group, the groups based upon the caste. So we have to think beyond that. So it's the beginning of all reform. Now a caste has an unquestioned right to excommunicate any man who is guilty of breaking the rules of the caste. Okay. Unquestioned right to excommunicate. Okay. Caste in the hands of the orthodox has been a powerful weapon for persecuting, the reformers and for killing all reform. Because as soon as they find that this person is doing something which can bring their caste group in the danger, they excommunicate that person from the caste. Yeah. Dr. Vivek, from your side, please. Yeah.
Yeah, I think here Baba Sahib is talking about how individual effort is never going to be enough against the caste order. Because whenever individual is trying to go against the caste order, this threat of excommunication is there. And so, for instance, you might believe personally, an upper caste might believe that I don't mind interdining or I don't mind intermarriage, right? And that upper caste person goes and dines with the lower caste and also marries with them, right? That should lead to reform, but it won't lead to reform because the caste order will have the power of excommunication. So they will remove these people from the society, force them to live outside, and that will be worse than that will be so bad that people will be compelled to be a part of society and not break the social order. So the threat of excommunication is, he calls it worse than death. That if you are dying, that might be better, but if you are excommunicated, and humans have this idea of being social beings, and once you are removed from society completely, that will be so bad. So that threat of excommunication stops anyone from initiating any form of reform or going against the system itself.
And like his sentence, cast in the hands of the orthodox. Orthodox means the person who doesn't want to change, right?
Yeah, those who want to maintain the system, for them, caste is a very good weapon. That okay, we can anyone who is going against it, we'll put excommunicate them. So that danger or that fear will always be there in the mind, and people will not oppose it.
Okay. I would like to very short comment, though we have less time, but out of curiosity, I'm asking that now among all these today, in today's India, how RSS is able to make such a big group and unity?
I think that is a very interesting question and also very important one because we need to understand how this becomes possible. I think they have also learned from Baba Sahib in some ways because in some part, I'm not remembering the section, Baba Sahib talks about how the Hindu consciousness gets united only at one time, which is at the time of a riot. So when there is a riot, at that time they might finally give up the idea of, or their primary association might be of being Hindus. And that also reminds me of a quote from this documentary called Ram Ke Naam, which was about the Ram Janmabhoomi movement, where a person was asked, "Who are you? आप कौन है? कहाँ से कौन से समाज से आते हैं?" तो he gives the answer. वैसे तो हम जाटव हैं बट फिलहाल हम हिंदू हैं सो दैट वी आर पार्ट ऑफ दी लाइक वी आर एसोसिएटिंग विथ हिंदुइज्म rather than the caste. So I think showing some sort of an external enemy in the form of Muslims or some outsider, that becomes a ground on which you see a consolidation of the Hindu interest. And there are people who have talked about, I think it's Dilip Menon or someone who has written about this, that we see the rise of Hindu nationalism after a period of lower caste assertion. So 1980s is the period where you see the rise of independent parties of the so-called lower caste in UP, Bihar, and other places. And it is then that the Hindu nationalist movement becomes stronger. So I think it's a counter to that, that this caste consciousness, when it is starting to get used for the upliftment of those who have been left behind, when it was starting to get used that way, then there were this orthodox section who now pointed to Hindu unity and the external enemy. So that the question of reform, the question of change in the Hindu social order, that gets postponed. कि ये हम बाद में देख सकते हैं, first we need to fight the larger enemy. So I think that would be my understanding, although this is, I think, more complex kind of a question.
And thank you for sharing the idea that RSS and the Hindu nationalists learned from Baba Sahib, because if I'm not wrong, they were also in the fight of who will help India to get freedom. And then, but they lost to Gandhi, they lose to Congress, and the whole credit went to the Congress, right? And
Right.
so, but interesting. Okay, but okay, let's see. Right. Thanks. Okay. Okay, so let's talk about the paragraph 13, and this will be the last paragraph, then we'll stop. And why Baba Sahib is saying Hindus treason, treason. Okay. A Hindu's public, a Hindu's public is his caste. Okay. His responsibility is only his caste. His loyalty is restricted only to his caste. Okay, I think two is missing. Okay. His loyalty is restricted only to his caste. There is no sympathy for the deserving. There is no appreciation of the meritorious. There is no charity to the needy. And because everything, where is the charity, is appreciation, and it is a sympathy, all decided by the caste. Have not Hindus committed treason against their country in the interests of their castes? So that's a beautiful question posed by, Baba Sahib for all the Hindus. By not allowing people to think beyond their caste is actually a thinking against the nation, right? So maybe that's why RSS learned, and now they are, including OBC's representation, and Shudra community representation in the politics, which Congress had done limited or maybe failed to some extent, that social engineering kind of, right? The cost is, there are costs, of course, but okay, but I'm not a political, so I will not comment here. But I'm not that happy with this social engineering because because things are not looking improvement. So whether they have learned this engineering, but they learn this engineering just to get the power, but not for the social reform, right? Yes.
Yeah, in fact, we can say that they are using this idea to prevent consciousness of caste, or prevent the articulation of the interest of the lower caste. So, because people were starting to think that, see, we have been excluded from these arenas of power and we need our share. So, what Kanshiram said, that there should be a share of the people in the power or structure itself. When people were starting to realize that, so this another orthodox section then comes in to say that no, no, don't think about your caste interest, don't think about your representation, think about what is happening to the larger and larger identity of Hindus. So it prevents the communities from, so they get appropriated into them. They get some maybe for symbolic representation, but it is not going to work for their interest. It is maintaining the social order, which will keep them as inferior. The social reform question is again delayed by bringing this idea of Hindu unity here.
Brilliant. So we are not going to start part 14. We'll start next time. But let's
Yeah.
take a few thoughts from your last points. So, and that's why in journal it is being advised to the students from the marginalized communities to stay away from the revolutions. Whenever they say, no, it is a grand plan, it is good for everybody, become part of it. I heard this in during the college time, luckily, please focus in your studies, stay away from the little revolution, because they will say it is a grand plan and we all are together. But when the system will take actions, the people who come from the marginal community will become the victims. And not everybody will become the victim or the cases, and many other negative things will happen. Okay, okay. So we have to be stay away from the revolution type of thinking. What do you say? Can we say like this to our youth? Like,
I think to some extent, yes. I think what Baba Sahib talked about in terms of caste consciousness or consciousness of time. That is also evident with the current protests that are going on. So, while the current protest that is happening is important in some ways because it is talking about reforms in the education system, one major question that can be asked to those who are out on the streets now is why was this kind of response not seen when people were talking about the suicides of Dalit and Adivasi students in premier institutions, and which has been happening for such a long time. In fact, we saw when the UGC came out with the draft regulations for equity in education. There was a strong response from the upper caste saying that this discriminating against us. So there might be people who are part of both of these. People who are now saying that yes, the education minister needs to resign, but they were also perhaps part of those who were opposing protective measures for Dalit students. They were perhaps absent when there were protest calls for um, discrimination in education or the Rohit Vemula movement and so on. So I think people need to be quite critical about what is happening, especially whenever such a universal category like citizen or nation is coming into account. Then the marginalized communities need to really ask about this question, taking cue from Baba Sahib that even with the Indian freedom movement being so strong, he was one lone voice who was still saying that, see, the social reform question is still important. Don't just talk about the British, talk about this as well. So we need to bring that element and critically look at all the things that are happening around us, I think.
And Dr. Vivek, and also I'm asking Dr. Nikhil and Sonali as well, because as a teacher, and I talk and I teach students who are from the villages, from the tier two cities, not like Delhi city or from the big city. So I see them; they become very emotional, when they like today this protest going on in Delhi. So they seeing scientist Sonam and they become emotional. I understand, but again. I go with Baba Sahib here. Key control your emotions. Go for systematic changes. Don't go for one time, emotional outburst. So that's what I tell to my student. So I don't know how wrong or right I am, but that's what I tell them. Please just do. Okay, know about the things what are happening, how they're happening. Read some good articles about it. So what is happening? You being aware. I'm not saying become aloof. Okay, it doesn't matter. But don't take too much risk. I think that's what I tell my students.
Yeah, I think the cost of doing this would be much higher for people from marginalized communities. So,
Yes.
because they might not have the backing, they might not have anything to fall back upon. So, if they get stuck in this, it's going to be worse for them. So, yeah, and also they should perhaps try to first reach into positions of power through education, through like building their career, and then try to change whatever field they are in. So, for instance, I see a lot of Dalit Bahujan people from sciences now taking up a lot of initiatives, like SARA is one example. Similarly, so many people who have gone abroad have started initiatives to bring students abroad, guide them, and all. So, I think that will lead to more large scale systematic change. Rather than these risky endeavors for the students, especially.
So we can say that like we need to talk about the changes, social changes, economic changes, and like Baba Sahib did not say that these changes are not allowed. He was saying what is first. So we need to understand social reforms. We also need political reforms. We also need economic reforms, right? But through policy, and that is only possible through education, right? So right. So I guess we are on the right track. And in the coming session, this will be the last session of this book. And because I guess 26 paragraphs are there. So we
Yeah,
reached till 14. So I guess in the next session, we'll be able to complete this book. And
yeah.
please give your input. So Dr. Viva, how are you feeling? Are we going okay?
Sorry, were you asking me?
Are we going okay? Yes, like are we able to make sense?
Yeah,
Yeah, is it
Yeah,
making
I
sense?
think so. I think so. I think it is a text which is small, but it is also very dense. So I
Yes.
think pacing it this way would be good, especially because this recorded material will become a source for others who are not here right now. So I think we are doing well, but I think in the next session we'll have a lot to cover. Although there are some of the ideas are now going to get repeated. So we might be able to move faster in the next session.
Yeah.
And yeah, so and perhaps we
Now,
can think about the timing in such a way that more people can join.
yes, I will
Because a
definitely.
lot of
We'll be,
yeah, a lot of complaints were coming in that this is a work day and you have kept it right at 9. So yeah,
sure. So
yeah.
Sonali and Nikki, please, any input from your side? Okay. Okay then, thank you so much for you to joining, and let's meet. Stay connected on our social media. So we'll announce the next date around 30. So right, so which at the day and time when more people can join and participate, that will make more sense. Okay. So then have a good day ahead. And from this Wednesday, we are starting the third SARA Summer School. So 15 participants across the India are coming. So very hectic day for me. But this week is going to be very, very hectic, but I'm very happy. And because when I'm reading about the AI and ethics perspective of AI, it is really very, very important for people from marginalized communities to understand, because now coding and AI is already a new tool of discrimination. I should not say is going to be. It is already. Only thing is that the researchers in India are yet to recognize it, and yet to take it up. Yes, we need to study how the thousands of cameras in Delhi are working, who have access to their data, when we are connecting everywhere. Aadhaar, technically algorithms, what they can do with us. These questions are getting technical because technology is improving, and is improving because we are adopting it, and we are adopting by example because we look at mobile 24/7, right? We are happy to adopt. So we cannot say we are not going to study the technology. We have to, because we have adopted it. See, now we must be knowing, Meta glasses, right? So why the Ray-Ban and Meta, they are collaborating and putting that much money? Because they know people are going to love it, right? And if we are going to make something part of our life, then it is becoming part of sociology, part of health, part of politics, decision, everything. So I think Indian researchers, I think we need to really, at a from a very what do you say, pragmatic perspective, I'm using little heavy word. We need to see the current issues. Like, see, from the environment perspective, I'm telling you, data centers based upon which this AI things work, they are highly, highly water demanding and very, very disastrous for the earth, you know. But still in India, we are yet to, there are some bits and pieces, articles and things, but still at the, very, very serious debate and other level, we need to take it up. And I think SARA will contribute in that direction also. And let's see. So then thank you so much, Dr. Vivek. Thank you so much, Sonali and Dr. Nikki. And let's meet in the next SARA. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Ajay, and all the best for the summer school. I think that is a very important initiative
Yes.
and one of its kind, because we need that kind of representation in data science very, very strongly. So thank you for taking that initiative.
Yes,
Yeah.
thanks so much.
Uh,
Okay, bye. Have a good day.